Remember that speech down by the river?
Yeah.
Oh, God, you're right.
All right, we're gonna get going.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna be panting when I read roll call. It's okay.
You okay?
Oh, good, sir.
You're reading.
Okay, good morning. It is 9:06 on April 1st, 2026. I will now call to order this meeting of the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners. Lieutenant Tully, please take roll.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Present.
Commissioner Jenkins-Gray?
Present.
Commissioner Ortiga?
Present.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Present.
Commissioner Brown?
Present.
Mayor Spencer?
Present.
Great. All right, if you may and you can, please stand and help us recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you again. Prior to the approval of the board minutes, I just would like to take a minute to make a couple of quick announcements and acknowledgements. It's April 1st and March went flying by, but I want to begin by recognizing the hard work of the men and women of this department over the last month of March. It was very, very impressive. Everybody from our dispatchers to the police officers and our professional staff. The countless hours went into protecting the city of St. Louis during the multiple back-to-back large-scale events that we had here in our city, and it was awesome. We started with the St. Patrick's Day Parade. We went into the NCAA men's basketball regional tournament. Cardinals opening day, Battle Ox opening day, City of St. Louis game, Blues game, concert, convention, that of the volleyball teams, of families in town. These also last week with some demonstrations that happened. Every single day, our men and women showed up, unwavering with their commitment. And I just really want to, on behalf of the board, recognize your commitment and thank you. Because the work that is going on is not being unnoticed. And I think it's anytime we have an opportunity as commissioners to present this and to give you a round of applause and to say thank you, to acknowledge that the work that you're doing is being recognized, is we should never let that go unnoticed. So thank you all. On the fiscal 2027 budget, we continue to be committed to working with the city of St. Louis to continue to find a resolution towards that, and we are committed to do so. So I want to make sure that you all know that. Public safety is a shared responsibility, and we'll continue to work together with Mayor Spencer and the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. So we can continue to work for clarity as we move forward, but again, I just wanted to take the opportunity to recognize you and thank you all for your commitment and dedication. Thank you. So on the first item agenda for number 4, we'll have approval of our February 25th minutes. Excuse me, our March 4th minutes.
I'll make that
Do I have a
motion
to
for
approve?
approval of the meeting minutes for March 4th.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Call for a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, seems like the motion carries, and all were in favor of the March 4th meeting minutes. On to our committee reports on the Budget and Finance. Commissioner McVeigh, would you please provide the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee report?
Thank you, President Saraceno. As you're aware, you were in the meeting. We met last Wednesday at City Hall in the mayor's office with representatives of the mayor's team, and made some progress in regards that we've agreed to look into how we move forward with someone looking at these budget numbers, how these statutes are read, whether that's a judge, whether that's an arbitrator. We're not sure on that. We're not sure on the legal ramifications of that, but we agreed to take a look at that from the city standpoint and from the board standpoint to see if we can't come to an agreement on what that overall number is, and in the process then obviously be able to go move that forward. So that's kind of where that stands as of now.
Thank you, Commissioner McVeigh.
May I make a comment,
Please.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
In regards to your initial comments opening us up, I echo your gratitude to all the men and women who wear blue and have been serving over the last week. But with regards to the comments related to working with the mayor's office on the budget, I have to disagree with you. We did meet last week in my office, but the key component here that is the question at hand is how much of the city's budget, what amount the city is providing the Board of Police Commissioners to run the department. It's a very critical component of the overall city's budget. And as you well know, the city is moving forward with its budget next week. We have to, under city charter. And the budget as certified by this Board of Police Commissioners represents an increase of close to $70 million over last year's budget. $70 million is more than most departments in the city of St. Louis have for their overall allocation. The request by this Board of Police Commissioners would be catastrophic to the operations of the city of St. Louis. Chief, I appreciate the email you sent last night related to some of the issues downtown, some of the very clear law-breaking activity that's going on downtown, and the need for enforcement. And as you rightfully pointed out, public safety is about more than just law enforcement. It does require collaboration with other city departments. In order for the police department to collaborate with other city departments, we have to have other city departments. The next budget meeting, as listed here on the agenda, is set to be April 24th, well beyond the time in which the city has to move forward with our budget. We provided this Board of Police Commissioners what we believe to be the statutory allocation on February 13th. We have been waiting for the same from this Board of Police Commissioners that entire time. We cannot move forward without that. We certainly can't move forward with the budget as certified by this board and continue to operate as a city. So I very strongly disagree with the statements that the Board of Police Commissioners has been working with the City of St. Louis and the Mayor's office to resolve this. While there have been meetings, there hasn't been the progress that we need to see in order to move forward with the city's operations, and the city's budget is required by the city's charter.
thank you, Mayor. I'll just reiterate, I think the conversations are ensuring clarity and transparency and responsible allocations of the resources to support the public safety. So, I mean, I appreciate your comments, but as we said, we'll commit to working towards the resolution to get.
You don't have another meeting set until April 24th.
We have requested some meetings via email. So this is, yes, this is the next meeting that internally that the Budget and Finance Committee works on. This is office is not, then
To leave it to this late
Yes,
in the
please.
game is irresponsible to the city and the city as a whole, and the budget process that we've articulated over and over and over again that we need to conduct in order for our other city departments to be able to operate.
Mayor, if I may, on the April 24th, those are preset, like, I don't know how long ago, Lieutenant, that you set those. And then in the meantime, as we discuss with your office, anything that changes or where we're able, a perfect example would be like last Wednesday where we put that meeting on the agenda to actually meet up. As those things come up, we will definitely meet. Prior to that, should there be the ability to do so or the reason to do so. Those are just preset meetings for every month, so we know we have something that's on the books. For each thing has that legal, labor, budget.
But you're aware that we, as a city, have to move forward with our budget next week.
we are very aware. I think Commissioner Sonia Jenkins Gray.
Yeah, just one point of clarification, just to provide a bit of clarity around the things that have occurred up to this point. And that is that I believe that the Board of Commissioners, we have been in constant communication with the mayor's office with regards to this budget process. From a standpoint of, we are obligated as a board, regardless of what we may individually believe, state control versus local control, we are obligated under the current law to operate within it. It has been and it continues to be very unclear for this board statutorily what is the requirement for the allocation. Once that is determined, the budget request could go up or it could go down. Right now, we do not know what that number is. It is a number that has been put forth by the city in which this board disagrees with because we don't have, based off of our analysis, we are very unclear as to what should be included in the general revenue budget versus what should not. And that is the question that is still on the table that we need to get answered in order to move forward. That conversation has been occurring since February 13th, when we received the budget allocation from the city. Those questions, that analysis, that research started at that point. And that is where the board and the city has not aligned yet. But the community and those that are gathered here need to know and understand that this board wants to work and will work with the city. This is all new for all of us. And so we're trying to work our way through because the decisions that are made right now become precedent for how we do business going forward. And so therefore we need that number. Without having that number, we came to what we believed our expenses would be. We are at the negotiation table with the city to try to understand what the expenses need to be based off of what the allocation number is, and we don't have that number yet. And so that's kind of where we are. And so I want everyone to understand the entire picture of what has been going on and what has been occurring.
Commissioner?
Yes, ma'am.
You referenced analysis being done by the board as it relates to that percentage and the allocation.
Yes.
When does this board plan to share that analysis with the city? We have been asking for that analysis consistently since February 13th. The analysis that you refer to, when does this board plan to share that with the city, public, or just the city that the board is claiming to work so closely with?
Please, Commissioner, can you read? Yes. And would you like to respond to that?
I guess I can.
Please.
Okay. The board believes that we have responded to that. We believe that we have responded to that in what I'm aware of 2 occasions. There was a meeting that took place between the board and your office, Mayor Spencer, in which we presented what we believed our findings were with regards to the allocations.
When was that, Commissioner? I have not received that.
Yes, it's in this pamphlet that was sent, and your staff has acknowledged that they've received it.
Is this the figure,
I
the
think-
$333 million figure? Is this what we're referring to? We've asked repeatedly if that constitutes your analysis and the proposed allocation.
Okay, if I can please respond to that.
Yeah.
So, what we have done, in complete transparency, is that we established a working group with the mayor's office, in which there were members of the mayor's team as well as our team, including legal and including the budget directors. In that working group, we decided that both parties would go back to the table, take a look at what we believe needed to be a part of the allocation, what we believe shouldn't be a part of the allocation, and have some type of rationale or justification behind why we would do that. As a result of that, when our legal team went back to take a look at the way in which the allocation was done and different funds that were reduced or taken out of the city's general revenue budget, we identified additional items that we believe should not be a part of that general revenue number, but we don't know. We just said as a working group, not that this is a document that we're putting forth to request for $333 million or anything like that, but this is what we believe based off of the analysis that was done. Should these funds be included or should they not be included? So it was not a request for additional monies. It was a document to be used in a working group at the table to determine whether a fund should be included or whether a fund should not be included. And that was submitted to the mayor's office several weeks or so ago. But it was not, again, our request for additional funds. It's a working document to work with the mayor's office to determine what should be included or what should not be included, and was not anything in which this board was asking for additionally.
Okay, so Commissioner, if I understand correctly,
Yes, ma'am.
the document sent by Mr. Gravel that indicated a series of revenue streams to be included, concluded that the statutorily required allocation to the police department would be $333 million. Is the analysis to which you're referring?
That is the analysis to which I'm referring, Mayor.
Okay, so the analysis, this is helpful because we've been asking for this clarification for months now. So that analysis that was sent by Mr. Gravel indicating that the statutorily required allocation from the city is $333 million is the analysis this board has conducted regarding the statutory allocation.
I'm going to go back to my original statement. It was a working document that needed to be discussed, and we needed to determine whether or not what we believed was accurate or not accurate, and it was a working document only.
But that is the analysis to which you keep referring, that we've referred to here on the floor.
There are two analyses that have taken place.
Okay.
The initial one that we gave, which came to the $250 million, and then the additional one that was done as a result of further research. But again, it was a working document. We were working on this as a team. We submitted it in good faith to have a discussion around whether or not what we believe to be true was true or not true. And that's kind of what happened and where we are. And we have, and Mayor, there's one correction. There have been several communications with the mayor's office around that document, and we have pretty transparently said that what we have submitted is what we have ratified. We have not sent anything in addition to what has been ratified by this board to request anything additionally. We only wanted to open up conversation to see whether or not even what we've submitted up to this point falls within the scope of the statutory of the legislation. We have not yet reached that decision. We have not yet had that level of conversation in detail, and that is the piece what is missing. And so for me, I'm speaking as an independent commissioner right now. In order to be able to move forward, the question that's on the table from the very, very beginning is that this is a legal issue. That was communicated by the city's budget director in this meeting in open session. That is a legal issue. We have not yet addressed the legal issue. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of narrative built around $250 million, $330 million. And I agree with the mayor from a standpoint of $250 million, that's a lot of money. But we don't even know if that is the right number that we statutorily can request, because the legal question has not yet been addressed. And we must address the legal question. We all sitting here on this board have a responsibility from a governance and compliance standpoint to understand why we are making the decisions that we're making. And right now, we don't know because we don't know what that real number is. And so it's been a legal issue from the beginning. It continues to be a legal issue, and that needs to be addressed. And we, on the board, we have not yet received anything that supports the legal rationale behind the allocation that we have received.
The board hasn't received an allocation. We provided a proposed allocation. There's a lot of discussion here. There is a proposed budget, and there's the statutory allocation. The proposed budget provided by this board, the $250 million, which is actually closer to $275 million because there's $25 million of expenses not included in that budget, okay, is different than the $333 million that was the working document. If this board has conducted analysis, as the commissioner pointed out, I was not part of that analysis, but that did result in a document sent by Mr. Graville that indicated that the statutory requirement would be $333 million, an increase of over $120 million over last year's police budget. It included the RAM settlement funds as a revenue line item, as well as the city's reserve fund as a revenue line item, neither one of which are revenue line items. And look, I want to be very clear. I don't want to play games with the salaries of our police officers. I don't want to play games with what the budget for the police department should be. Nor do I want to play games with whether or not my city workforce has a job. This is unfair to everyone.
Is there any more?
The statutory requirement is it's a very clear process. We look at the city's revenue, we include the line items that constitute revenue, and we exclude those that don't. It's a fairly simple exercise that this board needs to get serious about doing.
No, I'm going to hold further comment. Commissioner, you may have one.
Yeah, I have one last comment. And that is, I want to make one correction, okay? And that is, in my communication, I referenced the board, or this board. When I say the board, I am including our mayor in on that as well, because she is a member of this team. It just so happens that she's the mayor of the city as well, and so she has to take some level of responsibility in that role as well. But let there be no mistake, Mayor, that you are a member of this team.
Well, Commissioner, I have not been included in this analysis that you've referred to, and many of the conversations related to the budget. So while I am a member of this board, I have not been included in many of these working discussions, and I should have been.
Right. So just for point of clarification, Mayor, and we have the documentation to back it up, we have included you on all emails that have been sent. We have communicated with your chief of staff on everything that this board has been doing. And so whether or not that information made it to you, I don't know. But I can tell you, because me serving as the government liaison now, I have made it my business to make sure that the mayor's office, as well as you, Mayor, have been included in everything that has been discussed, everything that this team has done and sent. It has been communicated with your office and it has been sent out. And I can confirm that myself. In addition to that, I want to go back to a point, because it's very easy in situations like this to get deflected. The issue at hand is the legal allocation for what this board and the city needs to work from. We can have conversations all day about $333 million, $250 million, $70 million above, but at the end of the day, we need to understand legally what it is that this department should be receiving. Once we understand and know that number, then we can put together a budget and we can go from there. And that is the elephant in the room right now between the city and the Board of Commissioners, with coming to agreement on that legally what is allocated. Because there's one key point here. The mayor had said, and she's right, they submitted what they believed to be the allocation that the department should receive. That is believed, but we don't know that to be fact. And so what we're trying to do is get to the fact of what number exists statutorily that this department should receive. And once we do that, we can move forward expeditiously and getting a budget in place to support the city as well as to support the police department.
Commissioner, as you mentioned, the city put together its proposed allocation. Is there a reason why this board has not put together its proposed allocation?
If I can, I just want to make a point of legal clarification for everybody here. There is 2 steps to this process. There's 2 different statutes. Number 1 is this board makes a determination through their process. They certify their costs and expenses to run the department. That's been $250. That was approved prior to the statutory deadline. That number has always been what it's been, as a $250. The conversations with regards to the allocation have never been what this board has asked for. The board has never said pay us $330 million. That was to try to work it out. And I do want to point out one thing, Mr. President. There was the same legal issue with regards to how liability split. Last week, we signed a memorandum of understanding, which took a lot of hard work. I know, I don't want to steal your thunder, Brad, because it's a lot of pride in it. And we worked through it, but through conversations and meetings to get to a understanding and agreement is what's reasonable for everybody. And, you know, that's what's hard about this new government entity is there's uncomfortable conversations and whatnot. But I want to make sure that it's very clear. This board has never asked for more than $250. That's what they certified as their cost. The allocation discussion is really just what does, as Commissioner Jenkins-Gray stated, what does it look like in the future? What does this look like? So the fight doesn't happen every year during the budget, right? That we can get to a level playing field and understanding and work together, kind of like the MOU.
Thank you, Mr. Revelle. And as I mentioned here, and we're going to move on because I think everybody's had an opportunity to express and did it very well. But at the very core of all of it is getting towards the legal transparency and clarity so we can move forward.
But Mr. Board
There's-
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
As pointed out by Commissioner Jenkins-Gray, the critical piece here is what the statutory allocation is. The city's very transparent with our budget, all of the line items that constitute revenue, all that documentation is free and available to the public and anybody here online as well. We've provided our analysis and set a 2-hour meeting where we went through line by line our rationale for each of those revenue line items. My request remains, since February 13th, the estimated time in which this board intends to provide the same. As you mentioned, Commissioner, that the idea here is to come to an agreement with that statutory allocation. In order for us to come to an agreement, both sides have to present their proposed solution. Again, the city provided our proposed solution over a month and a half ago. And so the question remains for me, how can we come to an agreement when this board of police commissioners doesn't have a position on the matter? As you well know, we have to move forward with our city's budget in just 1 week. So we are at the end of our time frame here to have discussions. I'll also point out that the $250 million budget is seriously flawed. There's a failure to include many necessary pieces for our police officers, and that including retirement benefits, including FICA, things that our police officers need in their paychecks. And so we have to get serious about doing this work and doing it thoroughly and doing it well. So again, if we're going to come to an agreement, or there is an agreement on the table, there has to be a position of this board on that very, very critical matter.
We've been very clear on our position. I
What
want to make
is the
sure,
position?
I'm going to make sure, we're going to move forward on this conversation because it's been repetitive.
But it is,
there's
there
not, and
has
there's
been and
something.
not been an answer, Mr. Chair. There has not been a resolution.
The
There has not
resolution does not take place in this meeting. The resolution is what we are looking for to get the clarity to move forward in the budget. And you made some statements again that I think Commissioner Jenkins-Gray would like to clarify.
Yeah.
Well,
and just-
until we provide the
We
proposed
will,
application.
go ahead,
Okay.
please. And then
Point of clarity, because Words are very important.
Correct.
Words are very important. And it's very important for this department to understand that within the budget, we have taken into consideration everything that would impact you. Again, it goes back to a legal issue with regards to your FICA, your benefits, and your pension and all of those types of things, with regards to whether it is a part of our operating budget or is that covered by the city. It is our understanding that that right there, statutorily, your benefits, pension, and all of those types of things are covered within the city budget. And when that cost comes back to the department, it comes in addition to the allocation that we're supposed to receive. So that is not a part of the allocation that the department would receive from the city for operating expenses. So I need to provide that point of
That
clarity.
is not clear, and that is not
Well,
true fact.
Yeah.
It is
We're
not.
going to.
This is confusing everyone here.
No, what is confusing them.
Those things need to be part of the budget, Commissioner. They need to be part of the police
What is
budget, period.
confusing everybody, Mayor?
They're not part of the allocation, I
Yeah,
agree with that, but that is a separate question.
Okay, but what is
There's a
the-
lack of basic understanding of what we need to do here.
Right. No, Mr. President, I'm not finished yet. Going back to what I was saying, is that it is confusing for everyone, for us as a board, to be having this conversation with you, number one, without facts, without a legal opinion, and then it becomes just a back and forth of opinion without fact. And that is something that we have to do, we have to stop that as a board, because that impacts this board's credibility with being able to get done the work that we have all taken an oath to get done. So I respectfully ask, Mayor, that any additional conversations that we have concerning this, that we reinstitute our working groups, we get back to the table, we have open conversations with each other to figure out how to resolve this, because a resolution is not going to come in this meeting. What has come out in this meeting clearly for me is that you, Mayor Spencer, are still unclear on what it is that the board is actually asking for and what we have provided. We will go back and make sure that you have received everything that you should receive, even if it requires us to resend things that we have already sent. I believe that legally, we have asked to get to the table, bring the attorneys in, as President Saraceno in his open remarks made a comment and said if we need to have a moderator or if we have to have a judge, that's how we're going to resolve this. And it needs to be done expeditiously because you are under a deadline with getting the city budget done. And we understand that and we've known that. But we need to get back to the table to have that conversation. And if we can do that, then I think, like I said before, we can collaboratively move forward with getting a budget set that is going to be good for the department as well as for the city.
But with all due respect, that needs to happen within 7 days, 5 days. Let me say one thing as well. What's really clear here is that this process and failing to do this over the last 3 months and getting and empowering, enabling the city to move forward with our budget, which includes dozens of other departments, has pitted our workforce against our police department. No one, most importantly me, wants to see our community frustrated with our police department. And that is exactly what's happening here. This is a really wildly unfortunate conclusion here, result of this loggerheads. We need to have resolutions so we can get back to the work of working together, supporting and working constructively. Our departments, our city workers can't work without a police department, keeping our communities safe. City Hall cannot operate without the marshals keeping our buildings safe. Our parks can't operate without our park rangers keeping our community safe. We can't be a city without a police force. But we also cannot work in silos. As the chief pointed out, our police department can't perform public safety without our building division, without our department of health, without many of our departments. And until we can come to this resolution, the being at odds with each other is a wildly unfortunate reality that we are in until we come to this conclusion. And I am asking very respectfully that this board have respect for not only the men and women in blue, but everybody who works for the city of St. Louis, so that we can work together, continue to work together. But this is wildly unfortunate.
We have made it very clear that we have respect for the men and women in the city of St. Louis. So we're going to move on from this conversation because it's been repetitive. It's been very clear that we have a lot of work to do. And I will make the last comment that, as I said at the very beginning, we've always been looking for clarity, transparency, and responsible allocation of resources. So thank you. We're going to move on to our labor management. Commissioner Brown, would you please provide the Labor Management Committee report? Yes.
As a board representative on the Labor Management Committee, I move to adopt a resolution to adopt the modified civilian complaint and discipline procedures incorporating provisions of Rule 7 in effect as of March 4th of 2026. Lieutenant Tully, will you please read the resolution?
This is resolution number 26-15, whereas the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners has determined it to be in the best interest of the board to adopt the following resolutions and the revised statutes of Missouri Chapter 84, Section 84.020 implements the investigative and disciplinary procedures for civilian employees that were in effect as of November 4th, 2013, until the board adopts an updated civilian disciplinary rule, and the revised statutes of Missouri Chapter 84, Section 84.020 requires the board adopt a discipline and investigatory procedure for the civilian employees which include summary hearing board procedures as provided for in Rule 7 of the Police Manual of the Police Department in effect as of November 4th, 2013, and the board desires to adopt updated civilian investigative and disciplinary procedures as recommended and approved unanimously by the board's Labor Management Committee and as amended, replacing Rule 7 in the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department's Police Manual in effect as of November 4th, 2013, attached here to in Exhibit A. That the police board approves the modified civilian disciplinary rule as amended, attached here to, incorporated here in Exhibit A, and that the modified civilian complaint discipline procedures replace Rule 7 as applied to civilians in the department's police manual in effect as of November 4th, 2013, and that the modified civilian complaint discipline procedures also replace Special Order 6-02 as applied to the civilians previously in effect, and that a copy of the civilian complaint and discipline procedures shall be open for public inspection.
Thank you. And Commissioner Brown, you move.
I made the motion, yes.
Makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Jenkins Gray. Any discussion regarding this resolution?
I'd like to say, I just want to,
Please.
the Labor Committee met 2 times over the last month to draft the modified civilian complaint and discipline procedures. Given the varying job responsibilities, licensing, and statutory requirement between commission employees and civilian employees, the committee was tasked to determine which sections of Rule 7 adopted on March 4th, 2026 apply to civilian employees and which sections needed to be modified for civilian employees. This recommended modified civilian complaint and discipline procedures before the board today incorporates much of Rule 7 recently adopted for the commission employees, including updated processes and forms, streamlined procedures, and our collaborative discussions. Our goal within the civilian rule, as it was with Rule 7, was to be clear and transparent so that department employees subject to the rule know what is expected of them and understand the process of investigations and discipline going forward. Thank you to all that put the time and effort into putting this together.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. So any further discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Lieutenant Tully, please.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Artiga?
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Aye.
That's
Motion-
5 ayes. Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next scheduled meeting will be April 7th, 2026 at 10 a.m.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to litigation report. Commissioner Ortega, would you please provide a litigation committee report?
Sure. So we had the MOU was finally signed. This is a long process. We started back October 21st of 25, and it ended at March the 20th of 26. There's 24 lengthy emails back and forth. Mr. Garvin, hats off to you and hats off to Gerville Law Firm to get this done in a timely fashion. So this MOU is the operating agreement, and you can see that what we had to do for this, and we're trying to get this budget, I mean, I hate to bring up the budget again, but I mean, this was a big step. The budget's another big step. And you see how long it took to get this one done. So hopefully that we can get this taken care of in the next week for the budget. I mean, I want to get that done to get it over with. But I want to thank everybody who was involved with getting this done. We still have our Friday meetings. We're doing well with our litigation. The Attorney General's office has really put some really good people on the cases and really helping us out quite a bit. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortega. Appreciate that. Appreciate this, all the hard work that all parties did getting this done, along with the mayor's administration and her team. So thank you to everyone. It took a while, but it got done, and we moved forward. So thank you. Okay. Did you, next meeting is to be determined, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Let's move on to new business, the resolution to approve certain agreements. Mr. Sullivan, are you in the room? There you are. Would you please tell the board about each of the contracts, agreements, and if there is any fiscal responsibility or note to those, please. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
The first is a contract amendment with Aspire Consulting. They handle our PeopleSoft timekeeping system. We had to increase the total contract to $226,120, just because we did the budget they needed wasn't received, our initial allocation for fiscal 26.
Thank you.
The second one is a contract with Aviat Consulting. They do repair and maintenance on our microwave equipment for communications. It was approved in the budget and whatever, it was approved in our budget. The next one is a grant contract with the South Grand Business District. Officers will provide foot patrols in that district during off-duty hours. No financial impact on the general fund budget. The next is a contract with Regis. It gives the recruits in the academy tokens to access the Regis system, and it was approved in our initial budget.
Thank you.
And lastly is a grant contract with the Missouri Department of Public Safety. Provides funding for overtime for officers investigating domestic violence and stalking incidents. No impact on the general fund budget.
Great, thank you. That's all of our contracts to review. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Sullivan? Additional questions? If not, we'll ask Lieutenant Tully to please read the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
This is resolution number 26-17, whereas the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners has determined it to be in the best interest of the board to adopt the following resolution, and the board has reviewed certain contracts, agreements, and memorandums of understanding as it is April 1st, 2026 board meeting, and the board has approved the agreements which have been attached here to an Exhibit A and authorized the Chief of Police to execute the agreements on behalf of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, and the agreements attached here to incorporated herein, Exhibit A, are approved by the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners, and that the Chief of Police shall be authorized to execute the agreements attached here to in Exhibit A. The undersigned commissioners have executed this resolution effective this day, the 1st of April, 2026.
Thank you, Lieutenant Tully. Appreciate that. Is there a motion to approve those resolutions of certain contracts read?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Brown. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ortega. Is there any discussion regarding these contracts? I think we didn't have any discussion or comments from Mr. Sullivan, so I think if there's no discussion, we'll move to a roll call vote. Lieutenant Tully, please.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins-Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega?
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Aye.
Motion carries. 5-0. Okay. So, was there a resolution authorizing the disposition of surplus vehicles?
Yes.
Lieutenant Tully, will you please read that resolution?
Yes. This is resolution number 26-13, whereas the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners has determined to be in the best interest of the board to adopt the following resolution, and the board has previously adopted resolution number 25-18, which adopted a surplus property policy and authorized the purchasing agent for the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department to dispose of personal property, including but not limited to surplus department vehicles in accordance with the surplus property policy. And the department has not yet hired a purchasing agent, and recent vehicle theft attempt at surplus vehicle storage lot necessitates the disposal of surplus vehicles, and the board desires to authorize Lieutenant Dan Chitwood to dispose of the surplus vehicles listed on Exhibit A attached to 2 per the surplus property policy. That Lieutenant Dan Chitwood is hereby authorized in accordance with the surplus property policy to dispose of the surplus vehicles listed on Exhibit A, and that Lieutenant Dan Chitwood is hereby authorized to sign the titles to the surplus vehicles listed on Exhibit A in the name of and on behalf of the board for the purposes of disposing of the surplus vehicles listed in Exhibit A, and the undersigned commissioners have executed this resolution effective this first day of April 2026.
Thank you, Lieutenant Tully. Is there a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the disposition of surplus vehicle contract? Make that motion. Motion by Commissioner Ortega. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner McVeigh.
Yes.
Thank you. Any discussion regarding? No? Seeing no discussion? All right, Lieutenant Tully, please take roll on that.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega?
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Aye.
It's 5-0.
5-0 vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we will now move to the resolution authorizing the acceptance of donations and requests to the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. Please, Lieutenant Tully.
This is resolution number 26-14, whereas the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners has determined to be in the best interest of the board to adopt the following resolutions, and individuals, organizations, and businesses often wish to donate or bequest funds, services, real property, and/or personal property to the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, and the board desires to authorize the Director of Finance in consultation with the Chief of Police to execute such paperwork as may be necessary to accept such donations or bequests, and that the Director of Finance in consultation with the Chief of Police is authorized to execute such paperwork as may be necessary to accept such donations or bequests to the department. The undersigned commissioners have executed this resolution effective the first day of April 2026.
Thank you, Lieutenant Tully. Is there a motion to approve the resolution authorizing acceptance of donations and requests to the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department? Okay, a motion to accept.
I'll make the
donation.
motion.
Motion by Commissioner McVeigh. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jenkins Gray. Any discussion regarding around this resolution for donations? Seeing none, Lieutenant Tully, please call the roll.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega?
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 again. Okay, you take a drink of water, or are you
Good, sir.
Okay. We'll now move to the resolution adopting a policy governing the creation of a new position not included in the department estimated expenses. Please read the resolution on that.
This is Resolution 26-16, whereas the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners has determined it to be the best interest of the board to adopt the following resolutions, and the board is vested with the authority and responsibility to oversee operations, administration, and fiscal management of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department pursuant to the applicable law, including Chapter 84 of the revised statutes of Missouri. And on February 25th, 2026, the board, pursuant to the revised statutes of Chapter 84, Section 84.210, certified an estimate of the sum of money necessary for the subsequent fiscal year to enable the board to discharge the duties hereby imposed upon them and meet the expenses of the department, and the creation of new positions not included in the estimate has fiscal, operational, and governance implications that require formal oversight and control. And the board recognizes the importance of ensuring that all staffing decisions are aligned with the public safety priorities, operational needs, and sound fiscal management. And the board seeks to establish a consistent, transparent, and accountable process for reviewing and approving such positions to prevent unauthorized hiring, ensure appropriate prioritization of resources, and maintain the integrity of the estimate. that the board adopts the policy governing the creation of new positions not included on the department's estimate of expenses attached here to and incorporated in Exhibit A, and that a copy of the policy governing the creation of new positions not included in the department's estimate of expenses shall be open for public inspection.
Thank you. We have a motion to adopt this resolution for governing the creation of new position.
And this would include positions that could come up outside of what is already approved in the existing expenses. So for example, if the legal department wanted to add 3 new attorneys and it's not currently covered in the budget, there's a process by which it has to go through for business rationale, the chief of police, and then present it to the board for consideration to approve or not approve. And so it would be anything that is outside of the budget. It would have to be a formal process to go through, opposed to just submitting, a requisition to be filled, and then it's filled without any justification, rationale, or money to support it.
Does that answer?
Is there a requirement that there's a budgetary consideration, a fiscal note? I know I've been requesting fiscal notes associated with actions on the board, and just as a matter of clarification, is because the city will be paying, is liable to pay for positions, presumably. So just want to make sure that there's a fiscal note associated with those requests.
Yeah, I think the intent is to have a fiscal note and what the impact on our allocation would be and whatnot. I mean, we're still trying to get that process worked out, but the idea really was Commissioner Jenkins-Gray who authored that. We had a little bit of editing in it, but the idea of starting to put some of these procedures and policies in place as questions come up on how we do things and trying to be proactive on it. So.
Right. And in the policy, Mayor, there is a component that it has to go through financial review. And so if a fiscal note needs to be included with that, if it's approved, then it'll be done.
Commissioner Ortega, did that answer your
Yep.
question as well?
My request would only be that fiscal notes, as they pertain to the city of St. Louis, would also be included and given and communicated to the city. As was pointed out earlier, each additional staff person on the police department carries additional costs to the city outside of the allocated amount to the police department because of some of those additional benefits that the city covers. So my request would be that when those changes are made that will impact the city's budget, that there is immediate communication to the city related to those additional costs that the city would incur.
Thank you. Any further comments, discussion? So we have a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Ortega. Lieutenant Tully, will you please roll call vote?
Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins-Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega?
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Present.
4 aye, 1 present, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, our agenda item number 7. Chief Tracy, you please provide the board with the chief's report.
Morning, Board President, Mayor, Commissioners, Transition Director, Board Secretary. I'll start with some of the numbers. Just we're finishing the first quarter, but I'll get into some of the numbers really on year to date. I always talk about on our website being transparent, SLMPD /stats.org. You can get the same numbers that I'm giving to you right now, but I can give some of the context when it comes to murders. Some of the things are up to date as of today. So year to date, we're actually even with all our Part 1 UCL crimes from last year. But if we go back to 2022, we're down 45% overall in the city. So we're down substantially in overall crime, and that's how we ended the year. So even after the end of the first quarter, looking at these numbers, men and women are doing a tremendous job, even with shooting incidents. But here's one of the things with our murders. Our murders this year so far, we're at 20 murders versus 25 last year. And the significance of these numbers, I'm going to go into the region the last couple of years of where we're at. So we're at 25 in 2022. We're at 40 in 2024. We're at 36 in 2023. We were at 41 in 2022, and we were at 43 in 2021. So substantially down, but what does that number mean? We just put something out on the internet. Last year was one of our lowest numbers in a 36-year history, and that was at 25 homicides at the first quarter. So we finished with 20. So this is the lowest number in over 30 years where we're at after the first quarter. Hopefully we can continue that trend, looking at who the trigger pullers are, looking at non-fatal shootings, picking up the shell casings, using crime gun intelligence, making sure that our homicide detectives can get the leads they have on non-fatal shooting detectives, can get the evidence that they need. Closing these cases, our clearance rate is over 100%. And then we're getting the job done, catching the people that are doing those things out there. And so I hope to see this trend continue, but it's certainly a milestone that we're starting to see. And some of these things we've got to talk about, because a lot of things, we talk about violence in the city. I spoke to Elliot Davis, I did a one-on-one on Monday. I spoke with the Post-Dispatch editorial board yesterday for about an hour, and to try to put things in perspective and context of where we are as a city. Yes, we had some high numbers, but you got to start somewhere. And are we going down, and are we making progress? And the answer is yes. Is it a safe city? Yes. President Saraceno hit on a lot of notes today. We're even just talking about the month of March. All the events that we handled. At the same time, handling the neighborhoods, handling the calls for service, making sure we're going out there, keeping our public safe. These men and women are doing it. We're at 840 police officers. 21 of them are in the academy. Now, I came in here to I took an oath as a person, as a subject matter expert, to look at everything we do in the department. Ask these men and women, also the professional staff, to come along with a methodology to try to bring crime down, and also through community engagement, and also leveraging technology. They've hit it out of the park. They've hit it out of the park. But when I came in, it was 990 officers. I knew we were down about 300 from where we were at budgeted strength a few years before that. And since that time, 990 and where we are now. To get these type of results, these men and women of this department are doing is nothing short of incredible. But as a chief that looks at where we need to be for the future and make this sustainable and continue to make sure that we can build this city, if we run out of cops, we're not going to be able to get this job done. If we run out of cops, we're not going to have any other city employees either. I looked at Kansas City and I saw what they did is they fixed the pay matrix. They actually started having a competitive salary. And this is not just now. I'm not talking about this now. When I first came in, one of my first requests to the administration at the time was to Shura Jones. You have to address the pay. You have to be competitive if we're going to succeed. And we did get a historic raise. And then another 7% in 2023, in January of 2023. But we were so far down that we still are not even past the halfway mark. And Kansas City fixed all that. And when I speak to the chief out there, that is how they're getting people in the academy. That is how they're building up their budgeted strength. That is how they're getting back to where they need to be. Where Kansas City's asking me to send police officers to help them out with the World Cup. And I have to turn down a fellow chief in another city because we don't have enough officers to get things done. And when we have the things that we talked about in the beginning, that President Saraceno talked about, and I sent a letter internally to the department congratulating them, I think people take that for granted because we do such a great job. But at a certain point, we got to get back up to budgeted strength. And the pay is how we're going to get there. I took an oath to take this job, and you asked me my expert opinion. And that's my expert opinion. That's the last thing left to really help turn this city around. And Mayor, I did send an internal email out to Ben Johnson in response to a community person's concern. And what got me is that community person really put it on the police department why there are issues downtown. And I'm talking about currently with other city departments working together as done in other cities and how we've done here. But what I also meant in that is that because we didn't have enough, that night, didn't have enough bike cops, everything was put on the police department. Why downtown has mental health issues, homeless, and addiction issues. And we made 18 arrests, but those people get let back out. And we have to have some backup plan. We've looked at the buildings. One building's being condemned where it's a rehabilitation center that people are going to congregate and come out of that building. There's also a vape shop that our officers in District 4 were doing. And what they did is we're going to get a hearing to get that closed. But we need to do this together. You're absolutely right, Mayor. But the community sometimes thinks it's all in police. And what I'm trying to make, what I was doing is making a point. We got to do this all together, man. And even with the existing resources and where we're going to be in the future. But if we run out of police officers, there's a certain breaking point that we're having a lot of success. Let's build off this. Let's get competitive in the pay. And that's the number one issue I think that we have now, where we got everything else in line. And I really think that's such an important issue. And I think that really is some of the things that have been built into this budget. Wherever we figure out where it is legally, wherever we figure out where the 24% comes out as far as the statutes, but somehow when this all, the dust settles and when this is figured out, I certainly think the compression issue, to have people to move up in this department and take those higher up leadership positions, we're well below market rate. Lieutenant Colonel in Kansas City, I've been told, makes $180,000 a year. And I think we make maybe a little under 140. That is, you're running a police department, but you gotta make sure you have the future leaders to stay here to do that, and then we also have to pick up the starting pay and everything else. And then same things for majors and captains. They're $30,000 to $40,000 below, even in the region, but even let's just compare a comparable city in the state control, which is Kansas City, and they're paid much, much higher, and they're getting the results as far as getting the people in and retaining the people that are in there. So good work on the crime, commend the officers and also the civilian staff. But I think, even a weekend like this that can break other police departments, that all the work that they've done is to hold it down the city. But they gotta get some relief, they gotta get some backup, they can't keep doing it on overtime. They can't do it, their mental health and wellness, we need to give them some rest, because I'm gonna be asking more and more as these numbers continue to come down, because we're not getting people through the pipe.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Tracy? Comments? Thank you again.
Thank you, Chief.
Very high-level view of, again, I think the chief has recognized the work of the outstanding work of the men and women, everyone from the chief through the command staff, through our officers who are in the specialized units, who are out serving our communities throughout the city of St. Louis. So again, thank you. Your work is appreciated and does not go unnoticed. We are going to move to announcements. I'm going to ask our transition director, Mr. Winters, do you have any announcements for today?
Just to echo that, we've continued to work through a couple things in the city, and I think the mayor, with the new hire of the SLDC, that we're working through the trash transfer site, so that's an active, open conversation the police department and the city have been working really well together on. We also did a full, not a full, almost nearly full audit of all the buildings, so we should have a report coming from all the police and buildings and probably in the coming weeks, so. Thanks, President.
Thank you, Transition Director Derek Winters, for your work and your commitment behind the scenes. You're doing a lot of stuff, and thank you for collaboration with the city and everybody involved. Board Attorney, Mr. Gravel, do you have any comments?
I don't. It just, we're not going to have an executive session today, so we're going to forego that. I would request something's come up and I think attention needs to go to that right now. So that would be my request. I have no further announcements.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have one announcement. Brad mentioned, or Commissioner Ortega mentioned myself and Michael Garvin as negotiating the MOU. I did not want to leave out. There were some other attorney generals. Jeremiah Morgan, who's the assistant AG, who's come to our meetings before, was absolutely crucial in keeping that conversation going. General Hanaway was fantastic in working with us, and I just want to thank the board for giving us the ability to, and giving us the time so we could have, the patience and work through all the issues. That MOU encompasses statutory interpretation, liabilities, payments, and hopefully, I think there is still ongoing litigation related to last time state control transferred to local control, and I think everybody in the room's goal was to really put this MOU together to work off of, so those litigations are not still pending 12 years later. So that was something we all had a goal and worked towards in the beginning, and worked out very well. But the Attorney General's office was crucial, instrumental, pivotal in getting that agreement done. So,
thank you for the announcement, Mr. Graville. If there's no other announcements, I'd like
I would just like to echo Derek's, transition director, your thanks in working on that trash transfer station and the shooting range. That work, of course, is really important. There is close to $9 million of ARPA funds that have to be spent very, very soon on the line, and we are in grave danger of losing that $9 million. And I want to thank you for working with us to try to work through those issues so that we don't lose that state allocation of ARPA dollars, as well as some of the other port money that is really at risk of losing. So I want to thank you for that. And I also do want to thank the board for this report that I'm just now sitting here able to really kind of digest a little bit as far as the budget summary is concerned. It is a bit confusing, however, because the language in it, it is a little bit contrary to what the discussion was earlier. So I'm hopeful that, I just want to reiterate how important it is that we get to that statutory allocation by next week. And for clarity, for some of the members of the media and members of the police department, public, everybody who's in here, despite the disagreements we've been having here, this report states, I'll read line by word for word, the law is clear. If the city has $1.39 billion to spend after statutorily or constitutionally authorized exemptions, then the SLMPD is afforded a budget of $333 million, which is that $120 million over last year's budget. And it does go on at the very end to point out two very important, critical, crucial line items, the RAM settlement funds as well as the reserve funds. And it points out, it states, no statutory or constitutional authority to exclude from the general revenue on both of those items. So what this report says is that both the RAM settlement funds and our city's reserve funds are to be included in that calculation. And that is something that needs to be very clear to the public, because that would require an additional $120 million to the police department. And again, I want to be very clear, playing games with salaries of all of our city workers is something that is having very unfortunate ramifications in the public. I remember years where we had protests. I don't want to ever get back to that place again. And I want to thank you for this report, but we've got some serious work to do in the next few days.
I want to thank the mayor for her comments. I just want to tell you that has been, and it's always been clear, that this is a working document. It's continued to be a working document. So thank you all for attending today. It's been very, very helpful to have a room that is engaged and appreciates the work that's being done here. I'm going to move for an adjournment. We are going to, as our board attorney said, we were going to move it into executive session. Something has come up, so very precedent. So please, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Jenkins-Gray, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.